Glow 365 presents the Sisters of Faith Show, hosted by your girl, Lady Q. I am a certified relationship coach, life coach, and an evangelist who will be sharing conversations on real life topics such as being a Christian facing real issues, making intentional decisions, and how to see God in our day to day life, and much more. And now, here's Coach Lady Q. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Love and blessings, and welcome to the Sisters of Faith show presented by Glow 365. I am your host, Coach Lady Q, and thank you for tuning in to CRRFM.com. Now, in the month of October, we are going to see pink everywhere this month. And because we're going to see pink everywhere this month, it lets us know that we are going to talk about breast cancer awareness. There are a lot of people who are dealing with either having breast cancer, they're survivors of breast cancer, they're currently going through breast cancer, and not only that, the families that are a part of the process of someone that they love that are going through breast cancer, and they themselves may have lost a loved one to breast cancer. And so oftentimes we see the families that are enduring this process. And so not only the woman or man, for that matter, that survives breast cancer, the families are survivors too, because they're having to walk through this process. And so there are families that are grieving even in this month, because it's a reminder and it can be a trigger to those that they have lost to breast cancer or any type of cancer for that matter. And so in the month of October, we focus on breast cancer awareness, but there's something else that's also highlighted in the month of October, and that's domestic violence awareness, becoming aware to those that are having to deal with domestic violence, and not only the individual that's going through the process. And just like breast cancer, within domestic violence, there are those that are survivors, and there are those that have lost lives to being subject to domestic violence, as well as the individuals that are the bystanders, such as family and such as children and other loved ones who lose individuals to domestic violence, as well as a result, a product of that situation. And so oftentimes we talk about this topic and we miss. Today, I'm going to in particularly highlight the children. Oftentimes, we can miss the children that are dealing with PTSD from family that they have seen go through this. They have been in homes where their parents engaged in such activities, and they become a product of that or a bystander of that, or they themselves also get hurt in the process of the domestic violence that's going on in the home. And so it's an unfortunate situation, but today this is something that we're going to talk about, both breast cancer and domestic violence awareness for the both of them, because I really don't want to ignore one over the other, but to pay attention to both of them. And so as we move forward in the show, I'm going to break this down to two different segments in the show today, because it's something that not only needs to be talked about, but for me personally, it's something that I've encountered within my own life, growing up as well as in my adulthood. So I've encountered people who I love that have had cancer, as well as I myself having a cancer scare. And it's something that I don't think I've talked about. And so today I'm definitely going to talk about, as well as being also a product of a domestic violence environment. And so it's a very personal show for me to talk about. And so as we move forward in the show, and talk about these things, also going to open up and be transparent, because I know that there are those out there that may be encountering one or both scenarios. And oftentimes we can look to someone else for encouragement, someone else to lean on, someone else for guidance, for instruction. And so it is my hope and my prayer that moving forward, that even through my own story and information that I share with you, that it impacts you in a positive way, that you can grow moving forward, not allowing yourself to be either stuck in a place of hurt and pain, or also allowing you to grow into a place of hope, because we all need hope in life. We all need something to hold on to help us to move forward. And so someone else's story can help us grow. Someone else's story can help us be better. And someone else's story can point us sometimes in the direction that we need to be pointed in. And so it helps open up a door or a thought process or just another perspective to help us in our process. And so I just want to take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back as we begin to break down both things that are highlighted for the month of October, which is breast cancer awareness and domestic violence awareness.
It's time again for the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's annual Thanksgiving Drive. Please support our effort by donating any of the non-perishable items listed on our flyer. Those donations may be delivered to Silver Star Christian Church, 7510 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida, on Sundays, 12:30 till 2 p.m. Or call 407-486-5001 or 407-292-3719, and one of our members will arrange to collect those items from you. The drop-off cutoff is November 12th, 2023. You may give cash donations at jaaocf.com. So thank you so much in advance for doing your part this year to help a family in need for Thanksgiving.
Welcome back to Sisters of Faith, and I am your host, Lady Q. And so for this segment, we are going to talk about domestic violence first. So the month of October was declared as a National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in 1989. And since then, October has been a time to acknowledge domestic violence survivors and be a voice for its victims. You see, domestic violence has become very prevalent in the community, and it's not based on age. It's not about socioeconomic status, nor sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, or nationality. The reality of it is that we deal with domestic violence everywhere. It doesn't matter the age you are. It doesn't matter. And, when I think about religion, there are a lot of people that are in church that are dealing with domestic violence, and we don't know it because we go to church, a lot of us, and we do not want to share with anyone because we're dealing with shame, and we don't want anybody to know that we're in that situation. And unfortunately, there are some who have came forward and shared with people that they were in a domestic violence situation and have been told to pray about it. And definitely to give the instruction to pray. And ultimately, when I think about this, it's more than just praying about it and praying about the situation, but praying about God giving you a way out of this situation. Because oftentimes people who are dealing with domestic violence, for some of them, it is a result in death. And because it's a result in death, we could be praying with that individual for them to have a way out of that situation, for God to open up a door for them to have a way out, not to pray to stay in the situation. because no one should stay in a situation where they're getting hit, beat up verbally or physically for that matter. The Bible even shows us that God does not take a liking to abuse. And so when it comes to domestic violence, there are other forms of abuse outside of the physical abuse that I also want to talk about. Because oftentimes we don't really talk about the fact that there's the mental and emotional abuse, which no one is necessarily greater than the other when it comes to physical and mental, but the mental abuse lasts the longest and the deepest. These are scars that we do not see. These are things that we can't see when we look at somebody and we see them and we see what they're going through. We can't see the mental and emotional abuse. Now, there are signs and symptoms that are there that oftentimes that are present, but we don't recognize that this person is being abused. Especially when the spouse is coming in with them and we can see, okay, well, they're connecting, they're getting along. They seem to be loving towards each other. And I'm using the term they because there are men who are being abused by their wives. It's not only women who deal with domestic violence in the aspect of them having the physical act towards them, the emotional and mental act. There are men as well. And so oftentimes we don't see the signs. And in particularly, again, in church, we will pray and that person may share that they're going through something, that their marriage is going through something. And then we look at the children and we may see the children that find themselves in a place of being shy and withdrawn. And we take that as a sign of shyness sometimes. And what we're not paying attention to is what that child's personality was like before versus where they are now. Because a lot of times the child will give you the signs and the symptoms more than the adult. And that's an unfortunate thing because when domestic violence hits a home, the child is greatly affected by domestic violence. The child is watching the parents go through this process. And so oftentimes if it's the mom that's being abused, it's going to hit that child very heavily and deeply because naturally children go to their mom for nurturing and for help and for love and to be cared for. And so children have a tendency of being really protective over mom. And not to say dads are any less. Children look for dads to protect them and take care of them and all the other things and nurture them as well. It's just a natural response for a child to run to the mom in the midst of a situation. And so when that child is enduring domestic violence, watching their parents go through the process, it can put them in a place where they're dealing with anxiety, depression. They become withdrawn. They appear to be shy, but really what they're doing is they withdrawing themselves from people that are around them. They become hesitant when they come in contact with people. And so with that being said, we have to learn to pray for God to open up the door that we can pour into individuals that may be going through the situation and also pray them out of the situation. And even the young child that may be enduring this process. And so we have to be so aware that when God begins to reveal things to us in the situation of what may be going on how can we help an individual navigate through what they're dealing with. Domestic violence is a real heavy topic to talk about because it can be triggering for some people because of what they themselves are going through or have gone through. And so hold on for a second for me and I'll be right back as we continue to talk further about domestic violence. Glow 365 TV presents Sisters of Faith, hosted by Coach Lady Q, founder of Sisters of Faith in Pink and Pearls. Lady Q is an evangelist, certified life and relationship coach with a bachelor's in pastoral care. Lady Q will be streaming on how important it is to take care of your spiritual wellness, how to release your baggage while finding God's purpose in life, and the vital skills to build stronger relationships with a solid foundation, and much, much more. Now join Lady Q every third Tuesday as we stream on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on CRRFM.com as we talk about the mind, body, and soul. A conversation you do not want to miss, and one you will definitely want to share. Welcome back to Sisters of Faith, and I am your host, Coach Lady Q. And so we are picking up talking about domestic violence. And so there is something that I want to talk about quickly by giving you the numbers. And so when it comes to domestic violence, even though the numbers have dropped a little bit, we're looking at about 10 million abuse victims annually is what we see. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been physically abused by a partner, and 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men have been severely physically abused by a partner. Millions of Americans live in daily silent fear within their own homes. In addition, every year, millions of children are exposed to domestic violence. Domestic violence incidents affect every person within a home and can have long-lasting negative effects on children's emotional well-being. And so when we see that and understand that it's not only the adults that are dealing with the domestic violence, the child also is dealing with domestic violence. And so when I look at the history of my life, as a child, I was in an environment that saw domestic violence. And so what it did to me, it caused me to withdraw from people. It caused me to be in this space where I daydreamed a lot, because I thought all the horrible things that could or would happen would actually find itself to fruition. And so with that being said, it caused me to become very withdrawn, that even in my adult years, I would tell people that I was shy. My shyness was a result of the domestic violence and other things that I saw within my home. And so it wasn't a matter of me being shy. What it was that I had become withdrawn. And so people made me uncomfortable. If someone raised their voice, it made me really nervous. And so I would do all the things to make sure people around me were happy, that people around me were pleased with what I was doing, because it would make me nervous and scared if somebody raised their voice at me. And so it's something that I dealt with for years until I came to the understanding that I really wasn't shy. I was withdrawn. And because I was withdrawn, it also gave me anxiety that when I walked into a room, I could calculate how many exits was in a room, and I always stood in the back of the room looking for the nearest exit. And so when God began to reveal to me through therapy what my issue was, and that I really wasn't shy, that the Lord gave me a breakthrough in the process. And so understand, you can be an adult now looking back at your life as a child, realizing that because of the domestic violence situation that you were in and what you saw, that you're not really shy. You're withdrawn. Or even if you deal with anxiety and depression and you're trying to figure out, all these years I've had anxiety and all these years I've had depression, it's probably linked to something in your childhood that you went through. Definitely if you was in the midst of domestic violence. And so it has affected your relationships with people. It has affected a lot of things. And so understand that God would not want us to live in that place, in that space. And so I want to read something quickly in 1 Timothy 3, and 3, it actually talks about the qualifications, right, of a man of God in a relationship. And so in verse 3 of 1 Timothy, and I'm going to start at verse 2. It's chapter 3 and verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine. This is verse 3. No striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, nor covetous. Now, to understand, I said not a brawler, and what that means is, and no striker. And what that means is this is someone who is not hitting his wife. So this same standard goes for women as well. It's not just men, but for men and women. So if the word tells us that this individual should not be striking their spouse, we have to be so mindful that God has already put in place for us. There's a standard in which and how we're supposed to act and how we're supposed to treat one another. And so even in Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse 33, it says, the curse of the Lord is in the house of the wicked, but he blesseth the habitation of the just. Just mean a person that is living in a standard that God says that they're supposed to live in, to be in alignment with God. And so when we see this, we understand that if you are not living in alignment with God, that even when you are in the church, and because you are in the church, it doesn't mean that you can't hit your spouse. It doesn't mean that it's okay to talk to them in a way that's displeasing to God, because God has a standard and a way in the life that we're supposed to live. So understand that because God's standard says that you're not supposed to be a striker, a brawler, you're supposed to be sober-minded, which means that you're supposed to have a sound mind. You're not supposed to be one who is fighting. You're not supposed to be one who is hitting another person, because these things God counted accountable, and really it's an offense to God to be that type of person. And so I wanted to take that to show you in scripture that even God finds that it's not pleasing to him. So understand, if you are someone that is dealing with domestic violence, this is not pleasing to God. So I urge you to pray for God to open up a door for you. One, to pray for that person that is doing this. Pray for yourself, but also pray for God to fix the individual that is like that. But also, if you need a way out, pray for God to show you a way out of this situation, because this is not what God would have you to be in. And children that are dealing with this, understand that everything that we do affects our children. So it's not just the person that's in domestic violence that are enduring, it's also the child that's enduring the process. So I encourage you to go to God, trust him with the process, that he may give an open door to the situation. And when you trust him, he will give you an open door. Don't allow yourself to stay in a space that God says is not pleasing to him, that God is not okay with. So again, I'm hoping and praying that this is information that can help somebody that has gone through, that is going through, that's been through the situation, that they can find themselves out of the situation. So hold on, and I'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
It's your girl, Lady Q, and thank you for joining me here at Sisters of Faith. And we're going to continue forward as we talk about domestic violence in this segment as we come to a close. And so I just want to take this moment to encourage you that if you are going through or have been a product of domestic violence, seek the Lord that he can bring you the healing that you need. Seek the Lord that he may give you a way out. Seek the Lord that he will connect you with the individuals that you need to be connected with to move forward in life, that you may grow through the process, and that he gives you the solace that you need, and that if you've gone through it and you are a survivor, whether a child that's a survivor of the domestic violence that you've seen, that you are also a survivor of domestic violence itself, that God can then begin to heal you in that hurt place, in that broken space, that God can begin to bring you out of the place where you can just know who you are and whose you are, because no one deserves to be in a situation of dealing with domestic violence. No child deserves to be in that space of being broken because of what they've seen. And it's not I can't fault any one person, because again, some people have been raised in domestic violence situations, and they too become that person who projects their hurt and their pain by becoming physical, abusive, and emotionally and mentally abusive. And it can be a hard space to come out of, because you have to look at yourself and see yourself. You have to look at yourself and realize where it's coming from. And so this is a difficult thing for every individual in the home that has to encounter this, whether they're the perpetrator, whether they're the one that's being on the receiving end, and whether they're the bystander in the home that's watching it happen. And so today I pray for every individual, the one that need the help, that may be the one doing it, that they may receive the help that they need, and the one that may be going through the situation, that God gives them a way out of that situation, and the child that's the bystander watching it, that they may be covered and protected, that God may be able to restore them as well as every individual that's going through the process. Again, it's a hard thing to endure. And oftentimes the ones that are on the outside looking in, that may be seeing it, we don't know what to do and know how to handle the situation. And so I urge you to pray as much as you can. Pray for God to give an open door for those that need the open door, and pray to cover those that are going through the situation, because it's not only those that are hurting. When we see other loved ones that are going through the situation, it hurts those individuals as well. And so we have to just trust God and know that he gives an open door for each and every one of us, and he gives us a way out. But we still have to choose to walk out when he opens the door. We still have to choose to cross over when it's time to cross over. And so the hardest part is when it's time to cross over. We don't know what's on the other side. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what it's going to look like or what it's going to be like. But I encourage you to trust God in that process, that even if you don't know what it's going to look like, understand it's better than what you've gone through. It's better than what it appears to be and what you're in the midst of. And don't think for a minute that you're not enough. Don't think for a minute that you deserve to be in the situation. Don't think for a minute that, I just need to keep holding on because I love my children and I don't want to put them in a situation for the home to be split, because not only are you the one hurting, the children is hurting too. And so not only are you the one carrying scars, the children is carrying scars too. And so for that, if you need to walk away, grab the children and walk away if you need to walk away, but make sure you have everything in alignment in order to do so safely. Make sure that the decision that you're making is a safe decision for you as well as whoever that may be involved. But I just want to encourage somebody today that may have gone through and somebody that is going through, that God sees your situation and God sees your heart and God sees everything and all things that you have gone through and everything that you've been through. And God wants you to come out of the situation that you're in. He wants to restore you. There's a better life for you. It's a matter of trusting him in your process. And so just hold on and don't give up. That individual that have dealt with it and you are a survivor, you are an amazing person, and understand that God sees you. And because you have survived, he is going to elevate you to another place and another plateau and take you to another level in life, because he sees what you have gone through and he sees your hurt and your pain, and what his ideal is for each and every one of us, that we don't have to live in a place of brokenness and a place of hurt, so he can restore you to a better place. Don't sit quiet by yourself. There are many that have endured the situation, and there are many out there that can help you through the situation. And so again, I just want to take this time to encourage you that you can hold on to his hope, that he can restore you in the midst of. And so just continue to hold on to his unchanging hand, and know that he has you, and know that he's there with you. And don't let go and don't give up. If you can hold on for me, please, and I'll be right back shortly as we move from this segment of domestic violence and as we begin to talk about breast cancer awareness.
Sunshine Reggae Festival proudly presents live in concert the hitmaker, the king of dancehall, King Yellowman.
Zungo, 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 zeng.
King Yellowman.
Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
Along with Jamaica songstress Nadine Sutherland. Also performing Anthony B.
Nobody want no plan they can.
Little John, Propaganda, and more to be added.
If you see Yellowman,
The Reggae Sunshine Festival, Saturday, November 4th, at the Apopka Amphitheater, 3710 Jason Dooley Parkway, Apopka, Florida. Admission early bird tickets $30, VIP early bird tickets $75. For more info, call 407-810-6435 and follow at Caribbean American Passport.
I think I know what's coming.
Sponsored by Caribbean American Passport News Magazine and Caribbean Sunshine Bakery. This is a family-friendly festival.
Sounds reasonable.
Welcome back to Sisters of Faith, and I am your host, Coach Lady Q. And so we're going to move on to the segment talking about breast cancer awareness. And so as we talk about breast cancer awareness, there's something that I really want to take this time to highlight, because it's something that I realize in our melanated community. And so when we look at breast cancer awareness and we look at breast cancer in our community, Black women are about 40% more likely to die of breast cancer than white women. Black women are more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer at a younger age, at later stages, and with more aggressive types of breast cancer than white women. And so I've taken the time to ponder on and do the research of why we are more likely to die of breast cancer and why it is found at a later stage. The reality of it is, in our community, we don't like to talk about sickness. We don't like to tell the history of our girls in particular, of what is going on within our family. We may have big mama, grandma, great grandma, whomever that have died from a sickness, and that sickness may have been cancer, and we're not saying anything. We don't share within our family the issue of cancer that is going on. And so when this happens, and because we don't go to hospitals, we don't go to the doctor's offices as often as we should, the doctors are not finding out that the cancer is present. Because the doctors are not finding out that the cancer is present, then what ends up happening? We are living longer with the cancer, and then we go to the hospital later on when it's at 9 times out of 10 stage 4, less likely to catch. And because we wait so late to go to the hospital, now it's something that the doctors cannot control. It's something that they can't take care of because it's at a later stage, or they're trying to go through the process of chemo at a very much later stage versus an earlier stage. So this is one of the main reasons why in our community that breast cancer is not caught earlier than it should be caught, because we have a reluctancy to go to hospitals. We have a reluctancy to share our medical history within the family. And so if we learn to share the medical history within our family, then it helps those that are coming after us to understand what their medical history is, and so the things to look for, and when the signs and symptoms show up, to go to the hospital. We have to go and get the checks that we should get, so that this is something that is not controlling our community. We should not be in a space where we're 40% more likely to die because we're not going to hospitals. We're 40% more likely to die because we're not sharing our medical history. And we're waiting so late to go to hospitals because if breast cancer is showing up in our families at a younger age, then that means that we should be going to hospitals, doctor's appointments, getting checked on a regular basis at an early age. As young women, when young women begin to produce breasts, we need to be teaching them how to check their breasts, what to look for, and going to the doctor, getting regular checkups so that they understand their body and what to look for and what to check for on a regular basis. It's not a matter of putting fear in our young girls, but what it is doing is showing them something that's preventative, possibly preventative. That if they go get the checks that they need and they know how to check themselves as well, to be open and have those open conversations about what's happening to their body, that if something is different, something changes, that they can have the conversation, or as a young lady, go to the doctor and say, hey, I found this lump, or something's different. My breasts feel different. And so the checkup can happen sooner rather than later. And not only that, if there's a family history, that doctor knows what they're working with instead of a blank slate. And there again, also, the doctor can move faster and with more urgency when there's a family history. When there's not a family history that's present in paperwork, what causes the doctors, what the doctors would then do is move much slower. The doctors would then hesitate. And because the doctors hesitate, that means that cancer is already moving and the doctors have no history. Or there may be signs, but the doctors have no history. So with that being said, we have to learn how to notice what's happening within our bodies, but also teach those that are younger how to take care of their bodies and what to look for, so that we're not 40% more likely to die. We're not being diagnosed late. We're not hesitating and going to doctor's offices because we don't want to hear what the doctor has to say. Yes, there's alternatives, but at least get the checkups to know what you are actually dealing with. That's an important thing to look at. And so I just need you to hold on for me, and I'll be right back shortly as we continue to talk about breast cancer awareness.
Dis-ease is the cure if the symptoms are consciously managed, as in soul therapy, which uses dis-ease as medicine. It exposes the root causes of the conditions, whether they be physical, in relationships, or in society. Soul therapy is complementary to all other modalities of healing or remediation because it accelerates cure, reduces suffering, and attracts the wisdom and energy to help prevent, treat, or recover from dis-ease.
Glow 365 TV presents Sisters of Faith, hosted by Coach Lady Q, founder of Sisters of Faith in Pink and Pearls. Lady Q is an evangelist, certified life and relationship coach with a bachelor's in pastoral care. Lady Q will be streaming on how important it is to take care of your spiritual wellness, how to release your baggage while finding God's purpose in life, and the vital skills to build stronger relationships with a solid foundation, and much, much more. Now join Lady Q every third Tuesday as we stream on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on CRRFM.com as we talk about the mind, body, and soul. A conversation you do not want to miss, and one you will definitely want to share. It's your girl, Lady Q, and welcome back to Sisters of Faith as we continue to talk about breast cancer awareness. And so there's something else that I want to talk about when we look at breast cancer awareness in the melanated community. Something else that we have to look at is that how we take care of our bodies. We have a lot of health problems because how we eat affects our body. How we eat also affects, when we have health problems, then our bodies are more subject to even greater problems. And so it does play a part in dealing with cancer in our community. And so we have to look at what we are putting in our bodies and how we're taking care of our bodies so that we don't find ourselves in the situation of having to deal with this health scare of breast cancer or any other cancer for that matter. And so I know for myself personally, I've had a breast cancer scare, and because I do my annual checks and I'm consistently checking myself, I found a lump that was in my breast. And so I went to the doctor and they did the mammogram, and I was, at that point in time, I was in my early 40s. I think I was about 41 at the time. So that's a fairly young age. And so I went, and when I did the mammogram, there was also something there that I didn't feel. And so we got to understand that we don't always feel every lump that's abnormal. There are times where there are things there that you will not feel. So this is the importance of going to the doctor on a regular basis as well. By going to the doctor on a regular basis, it allows them that if they see things that are even that you may not see, but that's in your blood work, that it will trigger doctors to say, okay, well, let's do a deeper look into what's going on. And so for me, it was me feeling a lump, and then they did the mammogram and they saw the image. And so from there, they had to do a biopsy. And yes, I had to go through a biopsy where they took out that lump and had to check it. Now, what did I go through in the process of waiting? I went through the process of everything that you could imagine, of fear, being scared. I shut down. I stayed in my room waiting for the doctor's results. And so I'm just going to be honest, it's not fun going through the process, but I would have much rather gone through that process than a different process of being scared and just not going to the doctor, because a lot of times we just don't go to doctors because we're scared of what they might say. It's better to know in advance than to wait too late. That when it came back that the doctors told me that everything was fine. And yes, it was a relief. The reality of it is, does cancer run in my family? Absolutely. cancer does run in my family. And so because cancer runs in my family and I knew the history and I knew that it ran in my family, is reason why I was apt to go get it checked. And so had I not known that cancer ran in my family, I think I would have been more hesitant to go get checked. I think I would have waited a little bit longer. But because I had an aunt that had breast cancer and her cancer went into remission after going through everything she had to go through. And then later on, yes, it did come back, but so many years later, and it metastasized throughout her body, but she had an opportunity to live a full life. I had a grandmother who most recently, a few years back, died from lung cancer. But she herself also lived a full life. She was 88. She had a most amazing diet, and her diet was so simple, which I believe because her diet was so simple is the reason why she lived as long as she did. And so she didn't have to go through a lot of the things that people went through. She lived her life fully, and really it was a natural death process that she went through versus having to go through all the chemo and all the other things. And so because I've had other family members, even on my dad's, that was my mom's side, but also on my dad's side that dealt with cancer, it caused me to go get checked sooner. And so it's something that I pay attention to, that I look at. And so I say that to say that we have to share our history, our family history, so that we know. So my children know that their mom had a cancer scare, and my children know everyone in the family that have had to deal with cancer, that have lost their battle to cancer. But I don't even see it as a loss, because knowing that they all walked in God, that even when they laid down to rest, it happened in such a way that God took them from this life of dealing with pain, that they no longer have to deal with pain. So I still don't see them as they lost the battle. They're no longer in pain. They're not suffering. They're not dealing with any of those things. But yet and still, what it did for me is to be able to give my children the history of their family so that they know what to look for. And I encourage them that they're not scared to go to the doctor. They're not scared to get checked. And so I encourage you that if there's something that's abnormal, something that's different, something that's out of place, go to the doctor and get checked. Take the time to sit down with the women in your family and begin to ask them, is there a history of cancer in our family? Talk to the men. Is there a history of cancer in our family, so that you yourself know your family history? Not that this grandfather died from a sickness that nobody talked about. We have to come out of the mindset of not talking about it and just saying, oh, they were sick and, we just didn't talk about it. The family didn't talk about it. No, the family needs to talk about it, and we need to be in a better place in the space to talk about it positively so that we can walk in a preventative space. We can walk in a space that we're living a better life, a better, healthy life. So I just encourage you to have those conversations. So hold on for a second, and we'll be right back as we continue to talk about cancer awareness in the month of October.
Sunshine Reggae Festival proudly presents live in concert the hitmaker, the king of dancehall, King Yellowman. King Yellowman.
Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
Along with Jamaica's songstress, Nadine Sutherland. Also performing Anthony B.
Nobody want no plan the call.
Little John, Propaganda, and more to be added.
If you see Yellowman,
The Reggae Sunshine Festival, Saturday, November 4th at the Apopka Amphitheater, 3710 Jason Dooley Parkway, Apopka, Florida. Admission early bird tickets $30. VIP early bird tickets $75. For more info, call 407-810-6435 and follow at Caribbean American Passport.
I think I know what's coming.
Sponsored by Caribbean American Passport News Magazine and Caribbean Sunshine Bakery. This is a family-friendly festival.
Sounds reasonable.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children, 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
Welcome back to Sisters of Faith. And so I just wanted to take this time as we come to a close that I just wanted to encourage someone that has dealt with domestic violence and someone who is also dealing with breast cancer, because we're in the month of awareness for both of them in the month of October. And so I just want to take this time to encourage you and to stay focused on God and know that God will bring you through this situation. God will bring you out. You just got to trust him in the midst of when he opens a door for you. Walk through the door. Don't hesitate. When he says, I have something for you and it's time for you to cross over to the other side, cross over to the other side and watch him take care of you. The Lord will take care of whether it's an enemy that's physical or an enemy that's in the body. God will take care of any enemy that comes to attack you, and trust him along the way. And so I just hope and pray that this segment has helped someone, that's been an encouragement to someone, that even open up a thought process or perspective that can help you. And so thank you for joining me here at Sisters of Faith. And I want you to join us next Thursday right here on CRRFM.com as Glow 365 presents our next Glow 365 TV show. And we're streaming live on www.crrfm.com at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. I'm your girl, Coach Lady Q. Thank you for tuning in, and I will meet you here every third Thursday. I know it's the fourth Thursday of this month, but typically I'm on air every third Thursday. And if you have any questions or comments, if you would like to reach out, even if you need prayer, you can find me on Instagram at YAGURL.LADY. That's your girl.ladyq. And until next time, remember, regardless of what your situation is, no matter what it looks like, no matter what you've gone through, remember, don't let anyone pull you down. Hold your head up and look to God and watch him bring you through the situation. Again, it's your girl, Coach Lady Q, and I'll see you on the third Thursday of every month. Be blessed.
Hey, this is your girl, Sophie G, your real sister from the Sophie G Show, and I am giving a shout out to KUO Magazine. They're dedicated to promoting a greater level of wellness in all of us. Yes, they bring out that glow. Caribbean Under One magazine features different cultures and personalities of both men and women from within our own communities, sharing biographies and their personal stories and challenges, even their secrets as to how they overcame the toughest obstacles they faced, with the hope of inspiring others. Caribbean Under One magazine gives back, and they acknowledge by honoring the ribbon of Survivors 365 by bringing awareness to those who have overcome and struggled with chronic illnesses and conditions. They inspire. KUO encourages and reminds us all of the true importance of having that glow in all our lives, a greater level of wellness. This is your girl Sophie G, your real sister, who promises to always keep it real. For me not lie, I'm not try. And I say, get your subscription today. Just log on, tell your friends, tell your family to join in and become a member, to subscribe to KUOmagazine.com today.
Hi there, this is Joan Edgehill, President of the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida. Join me on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network every Saturday at 12:30 for community updates. Listen in to find out what's happening in your neck of the woods.
I wrote these lines to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children, 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
Hey, it's your girl Coach Lady Mia, host of The Mia Allman Show, presented by Official Woman of Culture 365 and executive producer of Glow 365 TV and radio shows. As a certified master life coach and certified in other areas of mental health counselor and practitioner, self-care and boundary settings, health and nutrition, and as a wellness advocate, I share honest conversations with individuals on various topics that affect men, women, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to celebrating our cultural heritage. So join me every first and fourth Thursday right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio, online at crrfm.com, and also on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Glow 365 TV show. So tell a friend to tell their friends and join in on the conversation to find your power of glow that equals our greater level of wellness within the mind, body, and soul.
This is your girl, Adriana Clark, and you are now listening into Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. I invite you to join me every Saturday for Saturday Praise, when we come and we give God all the glory and all the thanks. Tune in every Saturday, 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. and make sure you keep it locked to CRRFM.com, giving you a little bit of everything.